Tell me about alcohol. Does alcohol impair fat loss?
Alcohol does not directly impair fat loss, but it is super caloric. And alcohol is a macronutrient, unbeknownst to many people. It is the only macronutrient that on balance does not reduce your energy intake. It doesn't satiate you, it makes you hungrier. So that's terrible, right? It's even worse than the foods we talked about earlier in terms of desserts and things that are easy to overeat on. Peanuts also, yes, very easy to overeat on. Olive oil, healthy but easy to overeat on. And then you have junk foods, which are easy to overeat on and not healthy. So sorry, I lost my train of thought. Alcohol. Right?
Alcohol for fat loss, yeah.
Yeah, so alcohol is the worst of both of those worlds, where it's super caloric and it increases your hunger, which means that, and also it decreases self-control. So that is the worst possible combination you can have for your diet, pretty much, where after a night out, you come home, you're hungry, you have low self-control, and you already had a lot of calories. And yeah, what choices are you going to make at that point? Or if you're still in town or whatever, you're going to often make bad choices. So it's just, in theory, if you fit it into your macros, alcohol is not inherently fattening. Although some research does suggest it has very poor effects on nutrient partitioning. It can decrease protein synthesis. It can decrease your testosterone levels. So, it's probably not entirely neutral and entirely explainable by the calories. But by and large, I know a lot of people that drink alcohol. Sometimes they fit it into their macros. They still lose fat. But in practical terms, for a lot of people, very, very difficult.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that alcohol is almost as caloric on a gram for gram basis as pure oil, oil. You're essentially, I mean, not quite, but you're pretty close to drinking oil when you consume alcohol. 7 calories per gram is 2 calories away from pure fat.
Yep.
Which is 9 calories per gram.
150 calories for many consumptions. And then you're not even talking about cocktails, which really go through the roof.
Yeah, once you start adding in the sugar, the sugary mixers, and the like, yeah, it's a huge problem. Does alcohol impact muscle growth? Like, I have in my head, this could be just like orthorexic Max talking, but like if I've had a great workout, during the day, I particularly will avoid alcohol. I'm not a big drinker, but I generally won't drink. Like, I'll be particularly alcohol avoidant on the night following a good workout, because in my head, it's like I'm adding I just want to like optimize recovery for that workout. But is there any actual like science there? Does alcohol actually impede muscle growth independent of the effects that it might have on sleep, for example?
There is quite some research, mostly on recovery and protein synthesis. And there's only one study on alcohol and actual muscle growth. And that study did not find an effect of moderate consumption on muscle growth. If you look at the studies on recovery and protein synthesis, it makes sense because you need quite large amounts to actually start reducing protein synthesis and impede recovery. So if you have, a drink here and there, pretty trivial impact if you fit that into your macros. But if you do a workout, you don't have protein, and you go out binge drinking, that's definitely going to impede your gains. So I would say alcohol is more benign for your gains, like muscle growth and strength development, than you would think based on how destructive it is in terms of how it can make you feel and like how wasted you can get. So it's kind of less toxic for the muscles than for the rest of your body, but it's definitely a negative, and it's very much the dose makes the poison. So moderate consumption, probably not much of a problem. Heavy consumption, bigger problem.
What about everybody's other favorite topic, caffeine? There's this notion that has been perpetuated, I guess, by some on social media, that coffee in the morning is not ideal, that we should be delaying our morning caffeine intake. Is there any truth to that?
It's funny because that's an entirely theoretical belief based on the adenosine receptors. But if you look at the science behind that, it would be maybe that in the first hour it's less effective, but research doesn't support that at all. Like, there's no empirical research actually finding worse effects. In fact, based on pre-workout supplementation, the effect on your workout, which might differ from productivity or whatever, it's more effective in the mornings. Research is quite clear on that. We have multiple studies showing that caffeine in the mornings is more effective than caffeine in the evenings because the caffeine offsets the negative circadian rhythm effect of doing a workout in the mornings. So especially your core body temperature is higher in the afternoons. It's also why, for example, most world records are broken in the afternoons to early evenings, because every small little difference has a big effect on when you're competing at that level. And caffeine essentially undoes that to a degree. So you get that benefit in the morning, but you don't get that benefit in the afternoon. And in the afternoons, most research finds that caffeine doesn't really improve your long-term results. Caffeine's benefits are mostly psychological. So funny enough, there's some research, for example, that people that are told they are consuming caffeine, they get more of a performance boosting effect than people that are told they are consuming a placebo, but it's actually caffeine.
Wow.
Right. So yeah, it's very, very mental. And if you think about it, it just makes you feel more energized and it makes you ready to train. Even that's probably partly a placebo, because there's research, for example, that an energy drink is no more stimulating than pure caffeine. Some research even indicates that pure anhydrous caffeine, just the powder or a pill, is more performance enhancing than that in coffee. So a Red Bull, for some people though, has more mental effect. And that's probably just the association of Red Bull with extreme sports. They have great marketing. Like you have the popping sound when you open the can and the sparkle and everything. But independent research has specifically looked at Red Bull and found that it doesn't actually do anything other than the caffeine. Like caffeine is the only active ingredient in there. But people might get a stronger placebo effect from the fact that they're consuming an energy drink, right? Energy drink, surely it must give me energy. And therefore you might get, in practice, a stronger mental effect.
Wow. So just to tie a knot on the caffeine in the morning conversation, caffeine, at least in terms of exercise performance, caffeine in the morning seems to be more effective than
Yes.
caffeine later in the day.
Yes. And there's also no research indicating that caffeine is less effective for mental effects or anything in the mornings. I mean, I just ask people, like, what do you feel with your morning coffee? A lot of people feel their morning coffee very well. A lot of people can barely wake up without it. So do you feel your morning coffee a lot less than your afternoon coffee? For most people, I would not say that that's the experience at all.
I don't drink coffee to wake up. I wake up to drink coffee. That's
Nice.
I saw somebody post that on X, and I thought it was very, very, very relatable.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.